Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Will and Friends Live. This time we're sponsored by our property, our listing here at 795 Grayling Bay in Costa Mesa. It's a two bed, 1,100 square feet. And the backyard is something else. You guys have to experience it in person. But what we're actually trying to highlight today, I have my friend Josh, a financial advisor with Woodman Financial, and he's going to be able to work with me through all the food that is in the area. A lot of it is walking distance, whether it be the camp, the lab, anti-mall, even South Coast Plaza, and all different things. Josh, thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I am a big foodie, so I'm excited for this. And the property does look really, really cool.
Cool. So we got a bunch of restaurants that we're trying. We got Wafu of Japan, sushi. We also got this one, which is the
Karage from Tenkatori Chicken, which is only 2.2 miles away from here. Everything is super close to this listing.
And then we also got some boba from Milk and Honey as well. So we're going to enjoy that while at the same time asking Josh some questions. My goal is to see if I can get some insider trading tips, whether it be stocks or whatever.
Yeah, make sure compliance doesn't watch this video. So we'll edit that out later.
Yeah. No, so let's go at it. So Josh, tell me a little bit about your background in regards to, actually, wait a second. You graduated from Chapman University.
Yes, sir.
That's all. And then were you majoring in financing while you were there?
Yeah, so I majored in finance and accounting and had a minor and some other stuff. But yeah, my biggest interest in business was trying to pursue something that was applicable, was useful, but at the same time, kind of fit my natural giftings and talents. Like most people in college, I think I was a lost bird. Didn't really know what I wanted to do and kind of what we say like stumbled upon the career, right? So I did that, and I've been with Modern Woodman for the last almost my fourth year now. So it's been a great time, and I've enjoyed every bit of it. And there's been really good leadership leading me in that direction.
Cool. So we're eating right now. You got some.
Yes, and you're gonna have to try the sauce, Will. This is their something uzu aioli.
Ooh. So do you just dip it before you eat it?
Yeah, so I think the sweet and sour, I don't know if it's supposed to go with the aioli, but I would try the original with that.
Okay, original with that. Let's go for it.
You want to do the original first?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to try it without it, and I'm going to try it with it, and we'll go from there.
That's a good point.
Wow.
That's good.
That's like the perfect amount of like salt and pepper, and it was like the friedness on the outside. I also just like the quality of meat.
Yeah,
like it's not
too dry.
Mm-mm.
That's what I don't like about chicken, right? When
it's a little tender.
Yep.
What'd you think of the sauce?
I like the sauce. It's like a little kick, a little tang, spiciness to it. Got you in the back of the throat. You know what I'm saying?
That's peppery.
It's peppery.
It's interesting because an aioli is normally like thicker, right?
Right.
But then like Japanese sauce is normally like, I feel like it's lighter, soy sauce based. So it's interesting when they combine them two. But that's really good.
It is good.
I think I like that better than probably the other sauces, but we'll see.
And you've been here a good amount too, right?
I've only been there twice.
Okay.
But I don't remember trying the sauces there. I normally, but Costa Mesa is a good place for some good eats.
Yeah,
for sure.
So we got the original that's fried, and then we also got the
sweet and sour.
Sweet and sour. Let's see what that's like.
They also have other flavors. They have sweet and spicy. They have another type of glaze and salt and pepper. So I just went for the top two popular ones.
It's not like overbearingly in the sense of the sauce, not too salty. The sauce doesn't. I think it complements it just right.
Yeah, I think when you think of sweet and sour, right, you think of the Chinese Panda Express sweet and sour chicken.
Yep.
Or sweet and sour pork. Definitely not the same thing. I think like they use more honey, if anything, right? It's not the same sugar base. It's a different type of sweet.
Yeah.
It is good though.
It's not like overly sweet too.
No.
Oh man. Okay, and then Josh, even before you study at Chapman, now you've been a financial advisor for about 4 years now. It's now close to 5 years. you were actually abroad for a period of time too. You were in Asia, family doing ministry and things like that. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's
into another aspect of food too.
As we eat Asian food, go about living out there in Asia. Yeah, my parents were missionaries out there for quite a long time, and I got to live over there with them. I think, with everything, living overseas has its sometimes sounds grand, it sometimes sounds fun, right. It sounds like a great big adventure. But like in anything, there's always the ups and the downs.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I think you probably underestimate, or you think maybe you take to heart some of the smaller things, like when you have a family and you go overseas, it's like, oh, where are your kids having friends? How does school work, right? Like homeschooling versus co-op versus international school, learning a different language, culture, and customs. And so I think that was difficult, definitely, especially as you're growing up. But as I got older, I appreciated the quote unquote the sacrifice that was made because of everything I gained, right. The culture, the experiences, and it shaped me into who I am today. So
I would bet that those experiences allowed you to have these type of opportunities that you have now.
Right. Yeah. And I definitely don't take that for granted. So it was, it's a good experience. It's a shame that we can't travel more, but I'm definitely going to go back and hopefully bring my friends out there to see that part of the world too.
Yeah. How long were you there for again?
I guess for me, I was there for almost 8 to 9 years. Yeah.
And that was in what period of life for you?
Between the ages of 7 to 18. It wasn't consecutive, but we did go back and forth. But if you looked at it from the time frame, 7 to like 18, wow, it's a long time.
Yeah, super long time.
Yeah,
so that brings about different experiences.
Definitely,
just different, like even perspective on things, right?
I think so, right? I mean, you start to understand that the world has, I mean, just even culture mindsets, right? You've got, we talk about Eastern and Western mindset, right? A collectivist versus an individualistic thinking, and not that one is better than the others. There's pros and cons of both. And I think for me, it's understanding of an appreciation for both.
Yeah.
And learning how to relate to both types of people.
Yeah.
And communities.
For sure. Keep going at that chicken. I'm going to go for Wafu Japan Sushi. They have their amazing poke bowl. They got tuna, white salmon, yellowtail shrimp. Yeah, it looks bomb. Looks really, really good.
I'm right behind you.
I am
this
a
looks so
big fan of that.
You like poke?
Yeah, big fan of poke, big fan of sashimi, all that stuff. Watch out for the side of wasabi there. And the restaurant now, from my understanding, they're doing dine-in. They're doing socially distant dine-in. So if you're interested, they also have outdoor dining as well. So I think accommodate for those who are interested in doing that.
I think that's so great that you're doing this to showcase not only what's around the area, but also just to support the restaurants.
For sure.
It's a win-win for everyone.
For sure.
To have exposure of like, what are they doing now? How have they been affected by COVID and social distancing? And then also just letting your clients who live here know the great foods that they get to go to.
Yeah. Right? I mean, like we were talking about, a lot of these are walking distance. And there's a bunch of other restaurants that we aren't able to highlight in this show as of right now, but we can potentially highlight them in the future.
First episode of 5 seasons with a bunch of different foods.
We almost have to have like a scale just to weigh ourselves after each episode.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I mean, it's all good food. Here's a question. Should we invest in Fang? Should we invest in Facebook? Which specific stock? Even more importantly, with TikTok, should we invest in TikTok?
So switching gears to the finance questions, right? Individual stock picks. That's a hard, I don't want to get sued or anything, but I will say that, individual investing should be seen, by goal. I think investing itself should be goal-based, right? Rather than it's always important to look at return. It's always important. As a business owner, as an individual, you need to look at your ROI, what you're putting in, the time and everything there. But I think more important to that is going by the goal that you set for yourself, right? Like, what is the investing for? Is it for a second step, like to buy a home to get out of this? Or is it to retire XYZ here? Is it because you're interested and you just, you're bought into the vision of the company?
Right.
There's so many, I think, whys. And I think the biggest thing when people ask, what's the next hot stock? I'd say 80% of the time people ask that, not maybe because they're interested in the company, not because they're interested in, in tax savings or anything. They do it because they want to find the next flashy thing.
Sure.
They want to get rich. They want to hit the next Tesla before the big boom. They want to find the next Apple.
Wait, is that you mean we should invest in Tesla?
I think
that's an example.
I think just an example. Tesla's a great company. I think there's a lot of pros, a lot of cons. Kind of there's a lot of different opinions on it. I think for me, it's figuring out what is the investment for and what is the type of account that you're doing it in. Right? You've got retirement accounts that are really structured for longevity. It's structured for tax-free or tax-deferred monies, and it's a really great vehicle to think about for retirement.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking about it from that way, should we choose or should we focus on individual stocks for those accounts? Some would say that a portion of it could be, but I would say, and I think most people in my profession would agree, that having a well-balanced portfolio that's not just based on speculative, riding off of Tesla or Apple, just one share, especially in a long-term account, is probably good.
Right.
Now, on the flip, on the converse, if you do have extra $500,000, $50, $80 that you want to throw at, and you've got that kind of investor bug in you, where you want to try your hand at, let's say, a company because you did some research on it, or just because you like that thrill of that. I think as long as that comes second to already accomplishing the other non-negotiable goals you have, like let's say securing an affordable retirement, or even like let's say a 3 to 5 year goal, where this house or this condo is a very, very beautiful listing, and it takes some time to save up for a down payment or to qualify for. And if that's a non-negotiable for you to have in 2 years or 3 years to set that up for your future, to invest in, let's just say, speculative stocks that you have no idea or no control over, it's a little risky to put that, in my opinion.
Right.
So I think, making sure you have a healthy understanding of the goals that you have to invest in which one is, I think, always a really good rule of thumb.
Right. And like you're talking about, it sounds like from the conversations we've had, it's going to be dependent upon each and every investor, right? Like their age, their risk tolerance. Despite their age, they might have different variety of risk tolerance, and so they might not want to go after the next aerospace or whatever stock that's public or something along those lines. Or sometimes they want to, but at the same time, it does start with that foundation of where are you at, how much investment time that you have, and be able to make decisions after that.
And you're absolutely right. Like it is not a one size fits all. It has to fit with your, do you have student loans or not? Do you have kids or not? What are your goals here? What are your liabilities here? Who's dependent on you, right? And all those things are, you could say, you could generalize and say the average person who has a family, XYZ. But when you really go into the nitty gritty of it, everyone has different vehicles that they've, are starting with. Everyone have different goals, in the future. And not everyone's all starting at the same foot or even the same lifestyle at once. Some people really want a hands-on experience of, I want to be involved in every trade made, or I want to nerd out about the next time FedEx does this and Tesla does this. And other people are like, as long as I'm making more than what I'm putting in my savings account, I'm okay with, where it goes and how it does. So it really is such a, specific cut, which I'm sure for real estate it's very similar too, is not everyone's going to enjoy some type of listing, or, for them, maybe this house is too big, too small, too far, too close, right? And so you have to fit a lot like you do with your clients. I know that you do.
For sure. I'm asking you a lot of questions, but still, man, oh my goodness, this is hardy. I think the poke bowls are going for about $15, $16. I mean, this could definitely feed you. I mean, feed you for lunch, for dinner. Maybe you have some for leftovers, depending on your appetite. We also, from Wafu of Japan Sushi, we got another roll as well. This one's actually showcasing better. This one is the Samu Bito roll.
Comment on this. I like that there's a lot of different fish. Like there's a lot of poke bowl places only have one type of a fish or whatever, but I think like having a diversity of it is really, really nice. It's yummy. I like the bed of rice that comes with it. The presentation I thought was really well done.
Yep. And then you got the good stuff there. I got the one without the sauce, which is great because you can just put it on, drizzle it afterwards if you like it. I personally don't like as much soy sauce on it or whatever the sauce is. I put it on the side, dip it.
You're a taste purist?
Yes, I guess. I don't know. sometimes it's just drenched too much to my liking, I guess.
My family and friends always bag on me because the way that I eat is pretty gross, but I always think the more the better. So any free toppings, anything, I just hack it on.
Yep.
Pizza press, all the toppings, so much that they have to actually bake my pizza twice. They have to they have to go through twice because it's just loaded up with thing. Chipotle, same thing. Any build your own, I add everything and everything to it.
Well, Josh, I mean, you were like what, 6'3"? Like,
yeah,
good.
Growing a lot wider through quarantine. not lengthwise, but the horizontally. Yeah.
But I mean, in the sense of Asian American men, you're probably on more than average regards to height, right? And you actually played basketball too, or you did play basketball.
I play basketball safely and everything, but
you know, like, did you get to play it when you were at?
I didn't get to play at Chapman, but I just played for fun.
Got it. I thought for a period of time, I thought you were like a walk-on or you were playing.
No, I wish.
Shooting guard or point guard.
6'3" is tall, but not in the collegiate, college area arena. I think for our race, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And you played ball too, or you like playing ball?
Yep. Like love staying active and things like that. One thing, Josh, that I think that's really interesting when we were talking was that how your company stands out from other financial investment firms or financial advising firms. And one of it is just like your partnerships in regards to partnerships with nonprofits and being able to give back. Can you talk a little bit about what you guys do there and how you guys stand out that way?
Yeah. So Modern Woodman is really unique because it's a not-for-profit. And when people say not-for-profit, they get confused because they immediately assume nonprofit.
Yes.
We've all heard of for-profit. Yep. Lots of companies are for-profit. So where is this middle ground between, the for-profit and nonprofit realm? Yep. And the not-for-profit kind of falls right in the middle of that. And as a not-for-profit, essentially, we're a little bit different in the tax code, and it allows a certain amount of our revenue to not be taxable federally, but in exchange, Uncle Sam requires us to redeposit back into the communities.
Yeah.
And so to give you some numbers, we gave around $18 million last year.
Dude, I think we're tracking 18 million. That's crazy.
Yeah, we're tracking to hit probably 20 million maybe this year.
That's awesome. Even during COVID, even during COVID, financial hardships that people are facing and getting
people need it more, I would say, than ever, right? And so, those funds are dispersed in a variety of ways. One of my favorite ways is a matching fundraiser. So let's say a nonprofit is trying to fundraise for XYZ cause. We can come along and match up to $2,500 per event per cause. So, once again, it's a really, especially for small grassroots nonprofits, where if you work with the nonprofit space, someone who's really passionate in there, they often, if they don't get government funding, you're using a lot of your own funds, and those things add up.
Yeah.
You do fundraising, which is also hard in itself. So to find ways to maximize that, I think is so important. So we're really blessed to be able to give back through that matching fundraiser. Another way is service projects. Service projects are where we are able to work with a specific entity like a school or a police station or a hospital. And if they need certain supplies or goods, we're able to actually just purchase that for them.
Wow.
In a couple of weeks, I'm partnering with You Run This Town in Long Beach. They are a nonprofit that focus with kind of underprivileged youth. They want to not only educate, but empower them. So finding a way to partner with them to be able to not only provide education for the kids, but also raise money for supplies and donations and really powering the next generation in different ways. Super, super awesome. So
that's really cool.
That's just some of the ways that we partner fraternally is how we call it. That's how we say it.
How do people get to, I think this is great. And I think a lot of people who are learning or hearing about this is like, where do I sign up? Where do I apply? What's that process look like? Does it have to be through a certain, I don't know, what's that channel that looks like to be able to be a candidate for this?
You normally would have to talk to a financial representative, and every advisor kind of focuses on his kind of niche and kind of who he wants to work with. For me, I really love, teachers. My girlfriend's a teacher. My sister's a teacher. I have minored in education. So working with schools have always been really fun for me. So I love to connect with teachers to find ways to give back to their classrooms, give some pick-me-ups to the teachers. But really, it's pretty simple. Is you talk with a financial representative in your area, and you just kind of ask about the opportunities to partner fraternally, and they should be more than happy to find ways to intersect. We then apply to our federal department, our fraternal department, and say, here's the cause, here's what we're trying to do. And then if we get approved with the funds, we're able to proceed and use that. So pretty simple.
Awesome. Is there usually a timeline that it takes? How long does it take to get approved or the process?
Honestly, the sooner the better, right? Of course, we love being planners. As financial planners, we like to plan. So in the same token, just for organization's sake, I think the minimum is, especially for a matching fundraiser, a month in advance is a really good heads up. So we can prepare all the necessary notary documents, make sure that the fundraiser has enough traction, and then be able to match. But service projects, we can hopefully get done in maybe 2 weeks. 2 weeks heads up.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah.
As you get to eat, I'm going into eating this little
octopi.
Octopi.
What's the plural of octopus?
I have no idea. Do you know?
Octopi.
Is it octopi?
It has to be octopi.
I like it.
What's
it's a little chewy. Just don't look at it for too long if you don't normally eat octopi or octopus.
That sushi was really good.
Mm-hmm.
A little asparagus? Is that different? It's different, huh?
It's a little different. So we got the Nanyu cut and then the Samu Bito cut. So I think that one looks like there's a bit of California and there's asparagus in it and some type of sashimi in it too. Very good. But again, we're at 795 Grayling Bay in Costa Mesa, and we're just eating around the restaurants, being able to support local businesses, especially during this time now, highlighting some of them, and also just talking to Josh and learning about his company, how he stands out, what they're doing different, what kind of stocks to pick.
Will's on the train of, I'm going to buy Josh lunch to show him this pretty place, so we know that Will's a great realtor.
Yep.
So that hey, and how much did you list this place above listing? I mean, don't be shy.
This is listed at 520, and we're working on getting this closed. So yes,
above listing price. He's being humble.
Yep.
So being able to sell at a provide value and to show that this place really is worth that buck, and to have also just knowing that there's restaurants and other amenities.
Yep.
But he's wearing me down slowly but surely. Watch, he's gonna get a text message of all the different things that I choose for the things that make me rich, right?
Right, exactly. The get rich quick stuff. Speaking a little bit about COVID and how that's impacted the financial industries and how it impacted a lot of people's portfolios, because maybe they got let go, furloughed, and different things like that. I think you had talked about how for those who were in those unfortunate situations, they were able to transfer, or sometimes their account just left it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And just what do you do with it? Do you just leave it there with the former company? Can you still utilize that?
It's a great question.
What are things that you've been seeing that you help your clients transfer or
most people don't know their retirement plan options. And the ones that do hopefully understand the different options that you have when you're either let go, furloughed, or you just decide to move on.
Yeah.
And really what we're talking about are qualified plans, right? So what that means is they normally have a tax deferred or tax-free status through work. Normally, if it's a company, it's a 401k.
Yep.
Normally, if it's a nonprofit or a school, they normally offer something like a 403b.
Yep.
And simply put is a lot of people think, when I leave, is it just stuck there? The reality is, no, it's not just stuck there. And you actually have a couple options. Option one is you can pull it and use it for that Maserati that you're always thinking about, or that home upgrade.
Yep.
Not my first recommendation for obvious reasons. The biggest reason is simply, why cannibalize your retirement account for something that you can pay with other monies or save towards, right?
Yep.
You don't want to cut off your left hand to support your right hand. So also there's a pretty hefty penalty that comes from that. You get taxed as income tax plus an extra 10% penalty. So really, if you're at a tax bracket of 20%, you're saying bye-bye to 33% at least, right? Just for being impatient for that Maserati. Option number two is if you are going to another employer, you already have secured employment and they have a similar plan available, a 401k or 403b. Oftentimes you can what we call transfer it over, and that transfer normally doesn't cost you anything, and it circumvents that penalty. And so now you're with your other company and you have all that retirement with your new company in one spot. And the third and final option is to roll it over. So that's the difference between a transfer and a rollover into an IRA, an individual retirement account. And that can be done online. That could be through an advisor like me. It could be done through your bank. And an IRA is a vehicle that can hold those assets. And once again, it's broken down to traditional and Roth.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest things that you should know is you want to probably keep it apples to apples, bananas to bananas. If you have a traditional 401k without having to face a penalty, you should probably switch it to a traditional IRA or roll it to a traditional IRA. And likewise for the Roth 401k to the Roth IRA.
Got it. Makes sense. Makes sense. That's good stuff. Good stuff to think about. As we continue to grow, oh my goodness, there's so much food.
You have made me slow down the way I eat, and that's awesome because if it wasn't for this show, I would have probably been able to finish this twice over already. So,
and you would have had more. You wanted like seconds or thirds, maybe.
No, they just have a saying about you get full faster if you eat slower.
Yeah,
which is totally true
mm-hmm.
because back in my college days, or even just before this, I could probably destroy all of this by myself, not even, having you.
Right.
And now I'm like, okay, I can feel the rice sticking. I can feel the chicken kind of building up.
Right. There's been a lot of talk, especially recently with the presidential debates and like what's going to go on with the election, how that's going to impact the market, how's that going to impact, people's accounts, retirement, things like that. Did you have any thoughts or insights or perspective in light of who maybe Trump does get reelected or Biden comes in or maybe Kanye comes in?
Wow.
How's that going to impact stocks? How's that going to impact people's portfolios and different thoughts there?
Yeah. So without necessarily endorsing one candidate or the other, but merely looking at the policies or kind of the stock sentiment and everything, I personally think that stimulus and even just help from the government, especially if COVID continues to be like this, is going to come regardless of whether someone's elected red or blue. And the reason why I think that is because, I think the way that Congress and the Senate kind of see is we need that help.
Yeah.
And I think that for the most part, we're united in passing around at least another round of stimulus to kind of help float some more businesses a little bit longer. When it comes to like the individual industry or the stocks, I think that there are certain companies will benefit more than others because due to, let's say, political affiliation or even, each president endorsing certain things.
Sure.
But more than anything, I would like to attribute if you have a gasp because, of the election about you're scared that your portfolio is going to move drastically one way or not because of an election, I don't know how much of a portfolio you actually have.
Interesting.
And that's an interesting concept, right? And maybe people don't like to hear that. But
right.
I say that because your portfolio and your financial plan should be set up so that even if there's an election that doesn't go your way, you shouldn't be freaking out or you shouldn't be worried that your entire financial plan is going to be in a different direction, right? And so hopefully you're diversified enough and hopefully you have different accounts that are focusing on different goals where whether Trump or Biden gets elected, it's not going to make or break the long-term vision of what your financial plan is or where you're going.
Sure.
And so, are there individual industries that will probably be more affected? Sure, there will. But from the long-term scheme of things, I don't think it's going to matter too much at this point.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think that's great advice to not be so panicked. Or even some people are thinking probably just pulling out until the election happens. Whoever gets elected, okay, maybe that's when I come back in or different things like that because they're just scared. It's like, I just sort of want to wait it out and see.
There are a lot of people on the sidelines. And it's so funny when you type up like stock market returns, right? And you look on Google and you look at the map. Sometimes when you look from a day to day, not to mention a month, not to mention a summer, it's scary looking, right? It's up and down.
Yeah.
Then you click on the 3-year horizon.
Yeah.
Then you see, okay, it evens out a little bit more. You click on the 5-year horizon. Okay, the blips become a little bit less blippy.
Yeah. And that's within the election time frame, right? 5 years,
And then you go 10 years and it goes, oh, wow, those blips that you thought were giant downs are really not blips at all.
Right.
And then you do 30 years and it's like, wow, it's just a straight line. Just basically a line that kind of goes up. And so what that shows is it just allows you to not be an emotional investor. And really, I think if you're well diversified in different holdings of different sectors, different industries, and once again, you're maintaining it, you're taking a careful look at it at least once a year, checking up with an advisor or, educating yourself in that. I think for the most part, the real losers are the ones who try and time it and who try and chunk it in. Right.
Yeah.
And that's
me trying to pick the stocks, It's like, which one's the
which
best
one? Can I go
this one just shut up. Maybe I should jump on, right? Buy high, sell low. No, wait. I think the other way around.
It's buy low, sell high. You got it right. You got it right.
But yeah, that's really good to think about. I know from a time perspective, we want to be wrapping up and be respectful of that. For those who are interested in finding out more, trying to consult with you, get more advisory aspect from financial planning advisory perspective, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you?
Yeah.
Like that?
So just to preface how it works, for normal in the industry, advisors actually don't charge me. So it's always free to sit down for a consultation. Any meetings, any info, any materials that we provide are all complimentary. The dressing up in a suit, I'm normally in a suit and a tie. All
More casual for
the meeting.
Yep.
Didn't want to get all messy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all for free. We get paid based out of if and when a client proceeds with an investment or recommendation.
Got it.
And so a lot like a realtor or lender, it's not necessarily out of the client's pocket per se when they sit down with them. So the best way is, to contact via email, which I'm sure you'll provide, joshua.e.leung@mwarep.org, or feel free to text or call me at 562-469-9684. And either way, I love to hear people's stories.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Whether or not you feel like you're ready, whether or not you feel like you have $500,000 or you're just starting with $1,000 and you just want to know, what are my options out there, or you want to just discuss what should you be doing for your life stage. I think education is the biggest denominator or difference in someone doing something or not, or having the ability to do.
Yeah.
Simply said, when I meet down with clients who are 50 or 60 and we're kind of playing cleanup for the mistakes that they made, the biggest comment I hear is not that they're dumb or they made bad mistakes. It's just they just didn't know.
Yeah.
They were just unaware. And so don't take that out for yourself. Educate yourself, become aware, and take up that opportunity to learn.
Okay. Makes sense. Man, we not only had a feast with the food we got, but we also just got a feast with all the information that Josh was able to provide from a financial advisory perspective and financial planning. A lot of great information there. Again, we're here at 795 Grayling Bay in Costa Mesa. If you're interested, feel free. One of the great things about this property is the backyard. It's something else in the sense that you just have to experience it, or just even opening the door and window and you just hear the sound of the backyard, the river flowing. It almost feels like you're, I don't know, just in this serene, quiet, peaceful place where you're just able to get away from stuff, especially with the busyness of work and stuff like that. So you guys got to check it out. Also check out Josh and his information. Check out all the food places that we were able to go. Josh, would you recommend these food places going back again? Would you recommend like the dishes that we got?
I absolutely think so. I think that we can talk a little bit about the drinks, but wrapping that up really quick, Milk and Honey is a great coffee latte shop. The Spanish latte that I'm having and the lavender, I've had that before. I think is a really good blend. So I definitely recommend. And I think the biggest thing is the convenience of having it here, and when we Yelped like local areas, like everything was 0.2 mile away. So to have all that at the tip of your fingers, and we're just covering Asian, like Japanese food. Yeah. Not to mention all the other kind of cuisines, I think makes it a really hot spot for a family living here or just people who like to eat.
Yeah, totally. And all these places, walking distance, you can bike, you can do whatever it may to be able to get there. So thanks so much for joining us on this edition of Will and Friends. We're going to enjoy the rest of our food. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And until next time, be safe and stay well. Talk to you guys later.